The graphics is solid. They could have been a lot better. The graphics is solid, but they're still, you know, unimpressive. Very unimpressive, considering, you know, what could be done. You feel me? And then on top of that, you have wow. I know you guys seen enough of this. Now, the online is good as usual. The online is great, no problem with that. The gameplay is tight, graphics is unimpressive, and the sound didn't really do this game justice, and the graphics should have been a lot better considering, you know, the fact that this is Halo. So my score is 8 out of 10. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Back to the Hip Hop Gamer Show. Peace.
Understand, pardon me. How the fuck you gon' stall with me? I'm a heavyweight in this game. You just fall with me. You get legs down from your face down. Drop.
What up, y'all? It's your man Blacksmith. Game development ground zero. How y'all feel about that new intro, man? Let me know about that. Put that together myself. No doubt. Alright, y'all. Well, I have a new phrase for y'all this week. A new terminology that game developers use that would be good for you guys to know, because almost all games have it now. And that term is called normal mapping. Now, what normal mapping is taking skin that contains 3D information that's high resolution and wrapping it around a low resolution mesh. So basically, in layman's terms, what you're doing is you're taking a covering, a 3D covering of a certain skin or texture, like how the pattern of bricks, or the pattern of cement, or even someone's skin. Those are all textures. Now, what you're doing is you're taking that texture, that high resolution texture, and you're wrapping it around a low polygon model, like say a building or even a character in the game. Now, what this technique does for you is it gives you a high resolution look without it being so costly to the game engine, because game engines have limits to it for certain objects. You can only have a certain amount of polygons for an object, or a certain amount of polygons for a character, or a certain amount of polygons for, you know, each individual piece of the game can only have a certain amount of polygons, because you have to stay within a certain polygon budget in order for the game to run smoothly and not have, you know, pop up and you know, screen tearing and all those things. You know, I'm definitely going to be touching on later. But basically, now you know what normal mapping is, so you're armed and dangerous. You know, when someone approaches you, and you could now use that word with full understanding of it. Alright, no doubt. So here's another movie from my man Daniel Floyd. Man, shout out to Daniel Floyd. You know, I'm really feeling his videos. This one is basically, since this week I'm doing, you know, a game designer for Truth in Game Development. I'm gonna show you guys a video from Daniel Floyd that basically describes the core essence of decision making. Basically, which is a big part of game design, and it really gives y'all a real tight understanding of what game design is. So no doubt, your man Blacksmith, Game Development Ground Zero. Check out Truth in Game Development. Yo, no doubt, I'm a Giants fan, you know what I mean, ride or die Giants fan. I'm a New York team fan, period. You know what I mean, but I want to shout out the Jets right now. You know what I'm saying, the Jets is doing their thing. You know, shout out to Sanchez, the new quarterback. You know what I mean? He doing new big things. He a rookie right now, but he really doing his thing, man. I'm proud of you, man. Yo, go Jets, do your thing. Peace.
Hey again, my name is this, and we're still talking about these. Anyway, today I'd like to introduce the first entry in a series I like to call Game Design Corner, or GDC. Wait, hang on. Well, I'll think of a good name for it later. The inner workings of game design and development seem to be shrouded in mystery sometimes. It's not like film. It's not like every game comes with a special disc of bonus materials describing the process. So I thought to myself, hey, we've got a real live game designer with us here. And I figured it'd be fun to get an inside look at the sort of things they spend all day thinking about. Other than industry-wide layoffs, of course. So let's get started. Mr. James Portnow, what have you got for us? Alright, thank you. Sit down. Go on. Okay, what do we got here? The problem of choice. Alright, this looks interesting. Thanks, James. Alright, let's get to it. Let's start by laying down a few basics. Game design is all about designing decisions. As a game designer, you are crafting a series of decisions for a player to make, and that chain of decisions makes up the gameplay experience. This is the core of game design, and it's one of the first things they teach you as a game designer. But what they usually don't teach you is that decisions come in two forms: problems and choices. It's easy to mix the two up. Even veteran game designers will often just use the terms haphazardly, usually referring to every decision as a choice. But they're not the same thing, and this Oh, man, come on, do I have to read this part? Well, it just sounds pretentious. Alright. This linguistic confusion is holding back our medium. Because problems and choices are two distinct ideas, and they're both fundamental to the craft of game design. So how are we supposed to define these two words? Here's the simplest way to say it. Problems direct a player towards a goal. Choices let the player choose their goal. Let's have a closer look at these two. First up, problems. Any decision you have to make in a game that has a best answer, or solution, is a problem, not a choice. The easiest examples to spot are the math problems that many games are riddled with. For example, in World of Warcraft, deciding what gear to wear is a problem, not a choice. Why is that? Because for any single objective in World of Warcraft, there is one set of gear that is the absolute best choice for the job. Gear in World of Warcraft is really a big puzzle when you think about it. It's a fun and complicated puzzle, and not one that always has an obvious solution, but a puzzle just the same. Another example, first-person shooter gameplay. It's all about problem solving. There's no free will involved here. You know exactly what your objective is, and choosing to not fight your opponent is not even an option. Pretty much any time the player is presented with a clearly defined goal, and the fun or challenge is in executing or achieving that goal, that's an example of a problem. So then what about choice? Choices are when you're asked to decide between things of equal or incomparable value. Deciding between an apple and an orange, roses or lilies, blue alien sex or the local flavor. These are all choices. Now, real choices tend to be much harder to design than problems, because they don't have a clear right answer. They also tend to be much harder to fit into games because, well, giving players too many options expands the size of the game very quickly. Remember how in some older games a character would ask you a question like, "Do you accept this mission?" And you're kind of an ass, so you chuckle and select no. But then the character just replies, "Har har, no really, do you accept this mission?" These games gave you the thin illusion of choice. The designers weren't going to program an entirely different game where you sit around in town all day, sipping coffee and hitting on the local women while reading in the newspaper about what the king's second choice of hero is up to. You see how just one single choice can lead to an immense workload? Choice can complicate things very quickly. And that's why you see way more problem solving in games than you see choice making. Now, this certainly isn't to say that problems are bad by any means. Most games are built on problem solving, and that's kind of how it should be. You'd be hard-pressed to find more than a handful of games that have been made without any problem solving at all. For that matter, there are tons of great games that don't feature a single choice. Problems are really at the heart of what we consider gaming today, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's important that we distinguish them from choices. Now, why does this matter at all? Because without distinguishing between the two, it's very easy to reduce choices to just being simple problems to solve. How many times has a game presented you with something that should be a choice, but instead was just a simple problem with a clear right answer? BioShock gave us a good recent example. What should have been an ambiguous moral choice in that game was reduced to a simple element of larger game problem solving. How? By tying that choice into other gameplay mechanics. Let me show you what I mean. Say you have to decide between an apple and an orange, which we would normally consider a choice. But say you know that an apple is worth $5 and an orange is worth 10, and the goal of the game is to get the most money. Deciding between those two is no longer a choice. It's basic problem solving. This is an issue we often run into with fake choices in games. When you attach rewards to choices that affect gameplay, the choice is often reduced to just being problem solving. Let's say a game offered you a choice. Will you help out this old man or ignore him? And you know the reward for being nice to him is a big stack of money, experience, or ammo, or whatever. But if you ignore him, you'll only get a little of that, if anything at all. That knowledge transforms this choice into a problem, and it's pretty automatic. You simply ask yourself, do I want that reward, or would I rather spend time doing other things? helping the old man never even